Hello, welcome back to Meditating the Word. My name is Cherie. I'm your host and fellow traveler on this journey through the Bible in a year. Whether you've been reading the Bible for years or if this is your first time to read it from Genesis to Revelation, I'm so glad to have you with us. We are in the 9th month of our journey, and we still have a lot of people to meet and places to visit. So let's jump into today's passage. This is day 261. Today we are reading Ezra 4 through 6 and praying Psalm 137. I'm reading from the World English Bible. Let's get started. The Book of Ezra, chapters 4 through 6. Now when the adversaries of Judah and Benjamin heard that the children of captivity were building a temple to the Lord, the God of Israel, they came near to Zerubbabel and to the heads of fathers' households and said to them, Let us build with you, for we seek your God as you do, and we have been sacrificing to him since the days of Esarhaddon, king of Assyria, who brought us up here. But Zerubbabel, Jeshua, and the rest of the heads of fathers' households of Israel said to them, You have nothing to do with us in building a house to our God, but we ourselves together will build to the Lord, the God of Israel, as King Cyrus, the king of Persia, has commanded us. Then the people of the land weakened the hands of the people of Judah and troubled them in building. They hired counselors against them to frustrate their purpose all the days of Cyrus, king of Persia, even until the reign of Darius, king of Persia. In the reign of Ahasuerus, in the beginning of his reign, they wrote an accusation against the inhabitants of Judah and Jerusalem. In the days of Artaxerxes, Bishlam, Mithridath, Tabbael, and the rest of his companions wrote to Artaxerxes, king of Persia, and the writing of the letter was written in Syrian and delivered in the Syrian language. Rehum, the chancellor, and Shimshai, the scribe, wrote a letter against Jerusalem to Artaxerxes the king as follows. Then Rehum, the chancellor, Shimshai, the scribe, and the rest of their companions, the Dinaites and the Apharsachites, the Tarpelites and Apharsites, and Archavites, the Babylonians, the Shushkankites, the Dahaites, the Elamites, and the rest of the nations whom the great and noble Osnappar brought over and settled in the city of Samaria and in the rest of the country beyond the river, and so forth, wrote. This is the copy of the letter that they sent. To King Artaxerxes from your servants, the people beyond the river. Be it known to the king that the Jews who came up from you have come to us to Jerusalem. They are building the rebellious and bad city, and have finished the walls and repaired the foundations. Be it known now to the king that if this city is built and the walls finished, they will not pay tribute, custom, or toll, and in the end it will be hurtful to the kings. Now, because we eat the salt of the palace, and it is not appropriate for us to see the king's dishonor, therefore we have sent and informed the king, that search may be made in the book of the records of your fathers. You will see in the book of the records, and know that this city is a rebellious city, and hurtful to kings and provinces, and that they have started rebellions within it in the past. That is why this city was destroyed. We informed the king that if this city is built and the walls finished, then you will have no possession beyond the river. Then the king sent an answer to Rehum the chancellor, and to Shimshai the scribe, and to the rest of their companions who live in Samaria, and in the rest of the country beyond the river. Peace. The letter which you sent to us has been plainly read before me. I decreed, and the search has been made, and it was found that this city has made insurrection against the kings in the past, and that rebellion and revolts have been made in it. There have also been mighty kings over Jerusalem who have ruled over all the country beyond the river, and tribute, custom, and toll was paid to them. Make a decree now to cause these men to cease, and that this city not be built until a decree is made by me. Be careful that you not be slack doing so. Why should damage grow to the hurt of the kings? Then when the copy of King Artaxerxes' letter was read before Rehum, Shimshai the scribe, and their companions, they went in haste to Jerusalem to the Jews, and made them to cease by force of arms. Then work stopped on God's house, which is at Jerusalem. It stopped until the 2nd year of the reign of Darius, king of Persia. Now the prophets, Haggai the prophet, and Zechariah the son of Iddo, prophesied to the Jews who were in Judah and Jerusalem. They prophesied to them in the name of the God of Israel. Then Zerubbabel, the son of Shealtiel, and Jeshua, the son of Jozadak, rose up and began to build God's house which is at Jerusalem, and with them were the prophets of God helping them. At the same time, Tattenai, the governor beyond the river, came to them with Shethar-bozenai and their companions, and asked them, Who gave you a decree to build this house and to finish this wall? They also asked for the names of the men who were making this building. But the eye of their God was on the elders of the Jews, and they didn't make them cease until the matter should come to Darius, and an answer should be returned by letter concerning it. The copy of the letter that Tattenai, the governor beyond the river, and Shethar-bozenai and his companions, the Apharsachites who were beyond the river, sent to Darius the king follows. They sent a letter to him in which was written, To Darius the king, all peace. Be it known to the king that we went into the province of Judah to the house of the great God, which is being built with great stones, and timber is laid in the walls. This work goes on with diligence and prospers in their hands. Then we asked those elders and said to them thus, Who gave you a decree to build this house and to finish this wall? We asked them their names also, to inform you that we might write the names of the men who were at their head. Thus they have returned us answers, saying, We are the servants of the God of heaven and earth, and are building the house that was built many years ago, which a great king of Israel built and finished. But after our fathers had provoked the God of heaven to wrath, he gave them into the hand of Nebuchadnezzar, king of Babylon, the Chaldean, who destroyed this house and carried the people away into Babylon. But in the 1st year of Cyrus, king of Babylon, Cyrus the king made a decree to build this house of God. The gold and silver vessels of God's house, which Nebuchadnezzar took out of the temple that was in Jerusalem and brought into the temple of Babylon, those Cyrus the king also took out of the temple of Babylon, and they were delivered to one whose name was Sheshbazzar, whom he had made governor. He said to him, Take these vessels, go, put them in the temple that is in Jerusalem, and let God's house be built in its place. Then the same Sheshbazzar came and laid the foundations of God's house which is in Jerusalem. Since that time, even until now, it has been being built, and yet it is not completed. Now therefore, if it seems good to the king, let a search be made in the king's treasure house, which is there at Babylon, whether it is so that a decree was made by Cyrus the king to build this house of God at Jerusalem, and let the king send his pleasure to us concerning this matter. Then Darius the king made a decree, and the house of the archives, where the treasures were laid up in Babylon, was searched. A scroll was found at Achmetha, in the palace that is in the province of Media, and in it this was written for a record. In the 1st year of Cyrus the king made a decree concerning God's house at Jerusalem. Let the house be built, the place where they offer sacrifices, and let its foundations be strongly laid, with its height 60 cubits, and its width 60 cubits, with 3 courses of great stones, and a course of new timber. Let the expenses be given out of the king's house. Also let the gold and silver vessels of God's house, which Nebuchadnezzar took out of the temple which is at Jerusalem, and brought to Babylon, be restored, and brought again to the temple which is at Jerusalem. Everything to its place. You shall put them in God's house. Now therefore, Tattenai, governor beyond the river, Shethar-bozenai, and your companions, the Apharsachites, who are beyond the river, you must stay far from there. Leave the work of this house of God alone. Let the governor of the Jews and the elders of the Jews build this house of God in its place. Moreover, I make a decree regarding what you shall do for these elders of the Jews for the building of this house of God, that the king's goods, even of the tribute beyond the river, expenses must be given with all diligence to these men, that they not be hindered. That which they have need of, including young bulls, rams, and lambs for burnt offerings to the God of heaven. Also wheat, salt, wine, and oil, according to the word of the priests who are at Jerusalem. Let it be given them day by day without fail, that they may offer sacrifices of pleasant aroma to the God of heaven, and pray for the life of the king and of his sons. I have also made a decree that whoever alters this message, let a beam be pulled out from his house, and let him be lifted up and fastened on it, and let his house be made a dunghill for this. May the God who has caused his name to dwell there overthrow all kings and peoples who stretch out their hand to alter this, to destroy this house of God, which is at Jerusalem. I, Darius, have made a decree. Let it be done with all diligence. Then Tattenai, the governor beyond the river, Shethar-bozenai, and their companions did accordingly with all diligence, because Darius the king had sent a decree. The elders of the Jews built and prospered through the prophesying of Haggai the prophet and Zechariah the son of Iddo. They built and finished it, according to the commandment of the God of Israel, and according to the decree of Cyrus, Darius, and Artaxerxes, king of Persia. This house was finished on the 3rd day of the month Adar, which was in the 6th year of the reign of Darius the king. The children of Israel, the priests, the Levites, and the rest of the children of the captivity, kept the dedication of this house of God with joy. They offered at the dedication of this house of God 100 bulls, 200 rams, 400 lambs, and for a sin offering for all Israel, 12 male goats, according to the number of the tribes of Israel. They set the priests in their divisions and the Levites in their courses for the service of God, which is at Jerusalem, as is written in the book of Moses. The children of the captivity kept the Passover on the 14th day of the 1st month, because the priests and the Levites had purified themselves together. All of them were pure. They killed the Passover for all the children of the captivity, for their brothers, the priests, and for themselves, the children of Israel who had returned out of the captivity, and all who had separated themselves to them from the filthiness of the nations of the land, to seek the Lord, the God of Israel, ate and kept the feast of unleavened bread 7 days with joy, because the Lord had made them joyful, and had turned the heart of the king of Assyria to them, to strengthen their hands in the work of God, the God of Israel's house. The Book of Psalms, Psalm 137. By the rivers of Babylon, there we sat down. Yes, we wept when we remembered Zion. On the willows in that land we hung up our harps. For there those who led us captive asked us for songs. Those who tormented us demanded songs of joy. Sing us one of the songs of Zion. How can we sing the Lord's song in a foreign land? If I forget you, Jerusalem, let my right hand forget its skill. Let my tongue stick to the roof of my mouth if I don't remember you. If I don't prefer Jerusalem above my chief joy. Remember, O Lord, against the children of Edom in the day of Jerusalem, who said, raise it even to its foundation. Daughter of Babylon, doomed to destruction, he will be happy who repays you, as you have done to us. Happy shall he be who takes and dashes your little ones against the rock. Father God, thank you for Ezra and for his recounting of the events in Jerusalem. It seemed that all was lost. Everyone had turned against them. Their enemies had the upper hand, and construction of the temple would cease. But God, you constantly amaze us. The plan the enemy had for evil to keep your temple from being built was thwarted, and you turned it into good. Not only did the building continue, but their enemies were commanded to support the construction and provide for the sacrifices. Only you, Father. And you are still working miracles today. In our lives, what the enemy plans for evil, you turn into good. Thank you for always making a way. Amen. Well, there we have it, another chapter in our journey through the Bible. It isn't always easy to understand, but remember, it isn't a race, and each word we read is a seed planted in our hearts. Thank you for being part of this journey. Join us tomorrow and every day as we continue our journey through the pages of the Bible. This is Cherie signing off for the day. Remember, you are in my prayers. I can't wait to see you tomorrow. Until next time, be blessed and be a blessing.